lifetime achievement to win this. There's guys here, everyone who enters this competition, in their own little mind, in their own little world, is going to win that vote.
People that have got the same interests and the same motivation. You know, everyone in this marina is here to win it. I'm not going to lie, I want to lift the trophy.
Well, good morning. It's one of those mornings where you feel so lucky to be an angler, and we're heading out onto the Solent for the second Sea Angling Classic. Leaving Gunwharf Quays behind us, joining 160 odd anglers and 40 odd boats who are competing for a very special prize indeed. So that is the incredible prize boat that one of the teams taking part in this competition will be taking away on Sunday afternoon. Of course, this is a fishing competition, let's not forget that. But the theme of this event is, it's about so much more than just fishing. You know, it's about friendship, it's about the environment, it's about people getting together and enjoying this incredible part of the world. And the other thing it's about people. And wherever there are people, there are stories. How did this team come together?
So, our four-man team, where do I start? So, me and Martin own the boat. I met Martin when I was 8 in our local fishing club, and we've been friends ever since, and we've always owned boats and been fishing together. Our third member, Nicky, owned a fishing shop, and we was in there from a very young age, and again, fished for years. And the fourth member, my uncle, again, we've always fished.
He had a boat, I had a boat. We sort of got fishing together, and then we was in the same marina. I had an open boat, he had a cabin boat. It's good, we both keep each other in check, if that makes sense. You know, I come up with ideas and he'll go along with it. He'll come out with ideas, and they always are good ideas between both of us.
This is a Portsmouth crew and it's a Portsmouth event. I've got to ask you what it would mean to you as a team, as an individual, to win the title, to take away the trophy in that incredible boat.
Oh, be out of this world. There's no other competition like it, especially around this area. So everyone wants to win it, and we want to win it more.
This weekend's fishing is going to be a lot of knowledge, but you've got to be able to catch these fish. You've got to be able to land these fish, and space is going to be tight on certain marks. It's going to be a tough one.
So I grew up on the sea. My old man was a commercial fisherman. I was a member of Moneyford Lifeboat Crew at 14. Coxon of Cowshot Lifeboat Crew. Commercial fisherman, part-time with my own boat. I've just lived on the sea all my life. I'm retired now. I do fishing. I drive Moneyford Ferry 5 days a month. Still on the sea, retired. I can't retire. I've just got to be on the sea.
The sea is one of those places, they're very rare places that I actually forget everything. You know, I can just go to sea, it's calm. You know, you forget about work, you forget about your troubles. You just, you know, and it's sort of in your blood, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it, and it's as simple as that. So, you know, as a young kid on the beach at Halen Island, you know, as long as my memories go back, grandparents live there. You know, it's part of it. I will live there. That's a relationship with the sea. We just love it. We spend our life on it.
You're a dad, you're a husband, you're out there with your son and your wife. What's that like?
Even you talking about that now brings little goosebumps to me. Yeah, it makes me feel really proud. It's really good. I'm going to well up, but you know, Kaz loves it. Luke is absolutely addicted to it, and it's not just the fishing. He likes all the rig making. He loves all the preparation, the wash down. He gets involved in every part of it, and so super proud.
So, some amazing people involved in this event, and we'll be following their stories very closely over the next few days. We are on a charter boat called Angler's Edge, this fantastic craft skippered by Adam Houghton, and I'm joined by my co-commentator this weekend, Dave Barham, the legend of sea fishing himself.
Legend in my own lunchbox, yeah. Who's got the food?
Mate, it's really good to see you.
And you.
What a morning.
I know, I mean, you can't buy weather like this, can you? It's just amazing.
The level of excitement this year is off the scale.
It's absolutely amazing. I drove down, as you know, yesterday afternoon, and I spent a couple of hours on the quay there. Watching the guys coming in from practice. They've all been practising so hard this week, you know. It's they're all taking it deadly serious.
Yeah.
But there's so much of a laugh going on, so much camaraderie.
So listen, what's the word on the street? What are the sort of the vibe you're getting?
Okay, so from the guys I was talking to yesterday, most of the fish were coming on the ebb. So we're talking, it's as soon as we get fishing,
right,
there should be fish being caught straight away. You've got boats come from all over the place, and a lot of them don't know each other. But as soon as you're on that quay, tied up with a beer in your hand and talking fishing, as we all do, the vibe down there yesterday afternoon was fantastic.
Well, look, we're about 10 minutes away from the start now. We'll introduce you to the key players as we go through. Just a little bit, very quickly, about the rules. So, what the anglers are trying to do here is catch 5 different species. So, we're talking about taupe, aren't we?
Yep.
Taupe. We're talking smoothhounds, bream, bass, and rays.
Yeah.
All of those 5 different species are kind of, I mean, obviously they're slightly different, and they do different stuff, which I love.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Different states of tide, different marks that you need to fish for them. What you're trying to do in the competition is catch the 3 biggest of those 5 species. So only the 3 biggest will count. And
it's length, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all on length.
No
so
weight.
all the fish are measured. Now, this is a catch and release competition. So all the fish are caught, measured very, very carefully, scientifically, in fact.
Yeah.
And then released back into the solent once they've been photographed. Do you know, I can't wait to see what happens. This is going to be fascinating stuff.
I'm looking forward to this start. It's a traditional bimini start, or otherwise called a shotgun start in other parts of the world, where all the boats line up full throttle. See how fast their boats go.
So, Dave, we've steamed all the way east of Portsmouth.
Yep.
And here we are looking at those bad boys. There's Luke Fitzgerald.
Yeah, it's been all... As we were approaching, I've seen 3 fish come up.
Have you really?
Yeah, on there. They're fishing like demons at the moment. But we said that as soon as the comp started, the fish were going to come on. And we're just waiting to see. I think it's either a little taupe or a smoothhound. I'd say it's probably a taupe.
So Luke's going through the measuring process with Martin. So there is Luke's prize. Now, what sort of measures that, Mr. Fitzgerald?
8,900, nothing big.
Taupe?
Smoothie. That's a hound.
8,900 smoothhound. So they're away.
It's a good start.
It is, isn't it? I mean, we've already seen, you know, there's a few fish coming up on the live leaderboard. Oh, hello!
Oh, nice.
Hey. An undulate ray and a smoothie on the...
Like I said, I saw 3 fish, and there was a dogfish as well, but they don't count.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you know, we know there are loads of fish out here, and it's been fishing incredibly well. But I'll tell you one thing I know about competition fishing. Yeah. It's half nice to get off the mark, Dave.
It is. Once you get that first fish on the scoreboard, not only does it inspire the other anglers around you, it gives you the confidence to know that what you're doing is right.
And it's all about confidence with these events,
It is,
you know, because you can't...
Well, fishing in general.
I know.
It's all about
confidence. The most important. Doesn't matter what bait you've got on the end. If you haven't got confidence, you're struggling.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on these guys and see what happens here, because I think this is obviously a hell of a mark.
Absolutely. And I think if we sit here for 5 minutes, I think you're going to see a few more fish come up quite quickly.
Luke's just making a cast there.
Yep.
Now, one thing we have to be very aware of is we're quite close to them. They're fishing in quite shallow water. I mean, the skipper Adams just told me it's only 35 foot deep here, so we don't want to make too much fuss.
No, I mean, they're fishing quite a way behind the boat. You just saw him cast out there. The reason for doing that is to cast the bait away from the boat and down the tide. It's a good way of fishing rather than just dropping. Oh, he's got a bite straight away there, or is that?
Straight away. There's Martin Fitzgerald's just having his photo taken with his undulate. Big smile.
Excellent.
Back goes that undulate.
It's nice to have a catch and release competition. The format for this event is superb.
They go into a fantastic team
They're
mode,
working
don't
extremely well as a team. Like you say, the admin side of it, measuring the fish, getting that photograph, getting the fish back in the water as quickly as possible, while your other teammates are sorting out tangles, chopping up baits.
And as you said, baits in the water, they've got to keep those baits in the water, they've got to keep fishing.
Especially when you're fishing for tope. That scent trail is absolutely key. I mean, you've got other boats around us here within, 30, 35, 40 feet. If their scent trail is stronger than yours, it's likely that the fish are going to go that way.
Well, Dave, looks like John Challoner has got a fish on.
Yep.
What have we got there?
It's got a fairly good bend in the rod.
It's very interesting because we're at slack tide, there's very little movement. We're on Angler's Edge just behind Tequila.
Yeah.
We're free drifting. We've barely moved at all
it's
since we got here.
He's got a tope there, look.
One thing, so Adam's just told us on the fish finder below us, there's a very big shoal of mackerel in this area.
Yeah.
Obviously bait fish.
Yeah.
Predators are around, aren't they?
They're fishing nice, juicy mackerel baits. That's a nice little fish, that.
It's not too bad at all.
No, that's definitely one you want on the scoreboard.
Do you know, they're such good anglers, those two young lads. I mean, the instincts that they have, obviously John has taught them well, and they're little sponges, aren't they, at this stage?
Yeah, and they're just angling mad. Like I was when I was that age.
Oh, me too.
Absolutely loved it.
So they'll go through the process now. So this is the important bit, the admin side of this, as we've already said.
Yeah.
So Ben Bream has just disappeared inside to get all the bits and pieces sorted out. So
it's the tape. It's the official measure, isn't it? And then you need your is it the boat number, entry number?
Your boat number, the little tag.
That has to be in the photograph. Yeah, that's where a lot of people slipped up last year, isn't it?
We can just see the fish gets its nose to the very tip. There's a little plate at the top of the measure, and it's tip of the nose to tip of the tail.
Yeah, you can see it's just trying to hold it. It's not the easiest thing to do with these pack tope, because they are pretty lively still.
Let's be honest, they're sharks. Make no bones about it.
Yeah.
You know, and they're solid muscle. So look at that tope. That's a cracking
They just
fish. Look at that.
chuck the feathers down for the hell of it. Didn't see any on the sound.
So here's that process. Look.
Yeah.
That's a good sized fish, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's a nice one.
And just to remind people, so the competition rules are what you're trying. You can catch as many of those as you want, can't you? But it's only the three biggest ones that count.
Yeah.
So you're looking for maximum length, the three biggest tope, three big smoothies, etc.
Yeah.
That you catch throughout the competition, throughout each day. There we go. That fish is being returned back into the Solent. Safely done. Very nicely done. And Tequila are in the money.
More points on the scoreboard.
Well, Dave, here we are looking at boat number 16. That's the McKell family. So there's Luke, closest to us.
Yep.
Luke wants a ray. There's Kaz, his mum, and his dad, Darren, on the far side of the boat. Family affair. And guess what? They're leading.
Excellent stuff.
Do you know, they've had a fantastic one. I'm just looking at their scoreboard. Look at that.
They've got a full house apart from the rays. So they need 2 more rays, yeah?
Yeah, they've got 1 ray. They've had a full house of bream, so they've got 98 centimetres of bream. They've had 3 smoothies, so 294 centimetres of smooth hound, and 3 tope.
Excellent.
Their total, 748 centimetres.
Wow.
And Luke McKell...
I told him he had a bite, it looked like a ray.
You did call it from 20 yards away.
I did, yeah. I knew it was. It was that telltale nod.
Wonder what this
Brilliant.
is. So what are you thinking? This would be a blondie? What do you reckon?
Could be an undulate. But he's just redone all these rods. As we've been sitting here, he's put fresh baits on all of them, and they've all come up stripped.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at the tide here, we're doing about 2 knots on the drift, which is why I've got the engine motor in just to hold us here. Now,
oh, it's not. It's a conger.
It's a conger. But the baits are being stripped quite quickly here, and I reckon that's going to be bream that's doing that.
Right.
Because they're fishing mackerel fillets. And if
It's a shame that wasn't a rake.
It is a real shame.
Because that would have been lovely to see. But even allowing for that fact, so Darren is just kind of sorting that out as Luke rebaits. And again, look at the intensity and the kind of the efficiency.
Yeah.
So last year, everything was a wee bit chaotic.
Yeah.
Even the really good anglers, it was a little bit carnage.
Yeah, everyone knows what they're doing
I
now.
think they do, don't they? And it's great to see.
It is brilliant.
Well, Dave, we've come up on boat 17. That is Hot Pursuit. And we've got Pete, Adam and Dan. And it looks like Adam Kirby is just landing a fish. Can't quite see what it is. Possibly a bream. This sounds like a bream mark to me.
Yeah, they're on the drift here, so they're not anchored up. They're just drifting along and looking at the rods they're using. Yeah, they're after the bream for sure.
One of the things that blows me away about this whole concept out in this enormous piece of water is how you find the fish. And I'm really pleased we've come upon Hot Pursuit, because yesterday Adam, Dan and Pete were kind enough to take me out to show me what all the electronics are all about and how it all works.
Yeah, they've got some serious kit on that boat.
The format of the competition is there's 5 species that we need to catch, 3 of each species. And I mean, the first thing you need to do is accept that, you know, different fish species have different sort of preferences in terms of where they live, where they feed especially. So there's some great sort of general fishing areas in the competition area that's been set, and where you could plonk your anchor in on a bit of rough ground or mixed ground or a bank, and you could have a lovely day's fishing. But obviously this is a competition, so it's a bit more stressful and a bit more rushing around.
So just explain what we're seeing at the screen, because you've got, you know, all the electronics here. You've got 2 screens in front of you.
Yeah.
Lots of data coming in. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to interpret that data correctly. So what are you looking at on the screen? Let's take this split screen, for example, what we've got here in front of us.
Okay, so on my right hand screen, for me this is all about fish finding. So at the moment it's split into 2. We've got traditional sonar, 2D sonar on the left hand side, that's the colourful one there, and on the right hand side that's down scan or structure scan. Now they're basically doing the same thing. Is there's a transducer on the back of the boat and it's pinging, it's firing a beam down, it's hitting objects and coming back up, and it's interpreting on the screen. The left-hand one, the 2D sonar, is better for fish finding. It returns better off of fish swim bladders, etc. But the right-hand one, the structure scan, the hints in the name there, is it's better at looking at the bottom makeup. It doesn't show you the detail. I mean, you know, when the fish get big, you can see individual fish on here, but this is a mass of...
This is a mass, isn't it?
This is actually bait fish through this section here.
Wow.
It's not as dense because it's not yellow, and as it turns out, these fish at the top here were mackerel. I mean, you can, with experience, you can actually ID different fish species in time. It's normally looking for things like actually how do the fish relate to each other. So a shoal of fish, maybe bream will build a kind of pyramid shape and be equally spaced out. Bass kind of seem to maraud like that on the sounder. That's how it comes across. You can use it in that way. And then the right hand side, this is the structure scan, but you can almost see that these are individual fish here. I mean, they don't look like fish, but so. Yeah, you can kind of see a bit more that the chaos. You know, there's fish moving in a downward direction here as time goes by, as it draws it, as fish heading down towards this bait fish, and it's just this mass of mackerel between 20 and 30 foot. Yeah, chaos, Blue Planet stuff. So let's say this is a bank, a sand bank on the seabed, and let's say the tide's running over it in this direction. And we have obviously a choice of whether we position the boat way in front of it, on top of it, or maybe behind it. And the reason we might change that is that different species, as I've said, may relate to that bank. So more powerful species, better swimmers, such as bass, and I think tope to some degree. You'll find them on the front of working the front of the bank, trying to capture food as it hits that. As it hit the water hits that object, the tide hits that object and creates a bit of an eddy. They'll work that front. Whereas if you think of something like a ray, a flat fish, they're not really built to be swimming around. You know, they're flat for a reason. You're more likely to find those on the top or just at the back of the bank. Now you can't really fish for those two types of fish effectively at the same time. So what you'll find in the competition is we'll be moving our position relating to the structure that we're fishing to optimise the chance of catching the species that we need at that point in time.
Do you know, I love the fact we've used a sofa cushion to explain the high-tech electronics on this boat. Adam Kirby, that has been an absolute education. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It looks like he's just having a look at his plotter as we speak. And Dan's...
Looks like Dan's got a fish on there, look. So the electronics have done their job, look.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
Net comes out. Look at this.
Yeah, they've got some crazy fish finding ability on that boat, on screen. You can actually see the bream on the bottom.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the other thing
That's
I
a wrasse.
always say. Oh, it's a wrasse. It was a wrasse. You know, Dan caught a huge wrasse yesterday in practice, and I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? On rocky marks, that is where the bream live. You've obviously got wrasse there. They're so territorial.
Yeah. So it looks like he's going to motor up now. Probably have another drift back over the same bit of ground. It's amazing how much distance you can travel in 10-15 minutes on the drift.
Covering all that water and finding the fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, Dave, we're back with Tequila.
Yeah,
there's young Mr. Challoner again.
I know. I heard the drag screaming.
Did you really?
Yeah. He let it run, and then he just wound down into it. Did everything right. And as you can see, it looks like it's got a fairly decent fish.
Are we thinking that's taupe or big smoothie?
That's a taupe, the way that was running. 100%.
We're back on that sort of area where all those mackerel were a few minutes ago as well, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a healthy bend in that.
You've got a decent bit of tide running now as well, so it should be pretty much.
So there's John.
There we go. Yeah.
Just bringing the net around.
That's a nice one.
Oh yes.
Well done.
Amazing. Jeez, these boys can fish.
They can.
I do love it.
I tell you what, is that the second taupe we've seen them at?
It is the second taupe we've seen them at.
Yeah, well, that's going to put them right up there on the leaderboard at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, it was a much bigger fish than the last one. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
That's a cracker.
That's a beauty.
Well, that's a metre 10, metre 20.
Yeah, it's got to be.
That's a big fish.
Got to be. So they're just doing an official photograph now.
Look, how chuffed must John Challoner be to see his boy doing that? Look at this.
Brilliant.
What a great fish.
And off he goes.
Stuff. Well, Dave, it's taken us a little while to find them, but there is boat number 30, the Extreme 745, with Dave Wilson.
He's a lovely guy.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I've fished with him before.
Fair old angler as well, but
Indeed.
he's got assembled a terrific crew. Stuart Jones, Wayne Hand and Scott Rennie, international caps between them.
They're very good anglers. Very good.
I hear that they have had a pretty stellar time. I mean, Dave just shouted over and said they've had 12 really big fish.
Yep.
Including decent smoothies and taupe.
Yeah, they've had big taupe, and I was just shouting across the water there to him. But more importantly, they've had 3 rays, and decent ones as well.
Are they the only ones we've seen with 3 rays so far?
Yeah, they are. Indeed, they are.
So,
what they're doing now, I mean, they've only got 1 bream, so they're fishing for bream at the moment.
They haven't had a bass either, have
no,
they? So
no.
But that said, I mean, you know, this is what you said. So there's a couple of interesting characters out here on the water. We know very eminent Scottish international Steve Souter is on one of the boats.
He is. I didn't even know he was down
I
here.
didn't know he was down either, but we'll have to have a little word with Suits later on, I think. But he's a phenomenal bream angler. They haven't got any bream on their scorecard. You know what that means? They're not fishing for him. If he hasn't caught them, they're not.
No, they're not fishing for them. And at the moment, I think they're in 4th place, and they're about 110 centimetres behind the leaders. Now, Steve Souter, if you put him on some bream, he'll have 3 bream in 3 minutes.
5 minutes.
But, so that could change things quite dramatically at the last knock-ins. If they get on the bream and he gets his 3, you're looking at least a metre there, 98 centimetres or a metre for 3 bream.
All the time. I mean, actually, we're, you know, interestingly, boat 30, the Game King, is almost right next door to the Challengers, who we think are leading at the moment. And again, they're kind of building gradually through their scorecard. Do you know, I love Dave's story about why he's so linked to this environment. Talk about the sea being in his... He does. And you know, the thing I love when he told me the other day, he still volunteers to drive the Muddyford ferry,
right?
Because he can't not be on the water.
Brilliant.
So, you know, I mean, he's an ex-serviceman, obviously. A couple of the guys on the boat are services. You know, again, all have sea fishing and just being on the water in their blood.
Absolutely, yeah. It's great to see them all out there. They're concentrating hard here. They want these bream desperately, because that could well change the scoreboard.
Do you know, I'm sensing that by the time we get through today and into tomorrow, I mean, we'll find out, obviously, scores on the doors by the close of play today, and find out who's kind of on top. But tomorrow's going to be a hell of a match, isn't it?
It is indeed. Only I think we've got tricky conditions as well tomorrow with the wind. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Just to prove, Dave, that it's not all about the big brother. The little brother's in as well. There's Toby.
Excellent.
What's he got on there then? They're obviously on a decent mark.
Yeah, and like I say, the tide is playing a massive part now.
It's another nice
it's another
fish.
tope. Yeah, it's a lively one.
He's gone off.
He's jumping. And he doesn't want to come in, that one.
Got him though.
Yeah.
Good skills.
Nice one. Well, that's going to put him right up there on the leaderboard. That fish. It's an important one. Now, I think they've got 3 tope now, haven't they?
Yes.
So now it's a case of, do they go and fish for something else?
This is like the game of poker that these guys are playing, isn't it? Because do you say, there might be another one that's 10 centimetres longer?
Yeah.
Because the other thing we found out last year is that the margins at the end of it can be flipping close.
Yeah,
it was centimetres last year.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, while the recreational anglers were getting some vital practice in catching some bait, was the charter boat competition, actually Adam's boat. The lovely Angler's Edge that we're on today was taking part in that competition. So some of the charter boat skippers took some people out here into the Solent, but also, very crucially, part of that process was fishery scientists from Portsmouth University who are carrying out some vital research in this incredible piece of water. We said earlier, the theme of this year's Sea Angling Classic is that it's about more than just a fishing competition. Before the main event, half a dozen charter boats, crewed by keen sea anglers, headed out into the Solent on a mission to help scientists from the University of Portsmouth to gather data. And while there was still a competition taking place among the charter skippers and their anglers, the idea behind it was all important.
The amount of data that's being provided by all the anglers that are catching the fish, and bear in mind the ones on the leaderboard are only the ones that have been reported and recognised through the app. We've got much more data than that. and to have Portsmouth University and the Science Research Department actually using what we're doing as a Sea Angling Classic for a profound scientific study is really great, and it's better unite those things together.
As the boats came back into Gun Wharf, it was clear the charter boat event had been a huge success, with loads of fish caught, a great rehearsal for the main competition, which would start the following day. Dave Mahoney won it and collected armfuls of prizes for his efforts.
Oh, I'm just totally overwhelmed by it all. 3 days fishing and especially getting the prizes is amazing. Good luck to everybody who's fishing it, and I should be down to see the winners pick up their prizes on Sunday.
Well, Dave, it's now 2:10 in the afternoon, and this competition is progressing in an extraordinary way, especially after what happened 12 months ago out here on the Solent, because we're looking at the event leaders.
Yes.
TEQUILA, 831
I know, they're 40 odd centimetres in the lead at the moment.
And look, there's little Toby Challoner with his rod hooped over and a fish on.
Excellent. Let's just pray it's a bass, because that's what they need.
So let's just run through their scorecard. It's not a bass. Surely that's not a bass.
No, I don't think it is, but wouldn't it be nice if it was?
Well, look, let's just quickly, while Toby's playing this fish, is it?
It's a dogfish.
Oh, it's a dogfish. What a shame. So they've had ray to 118 centimetres, 3 bream to 98.
Excellent.
They're missing bass off their scorecard, smooth hounds to 290, and tope to 325.
That's a good score.
That is 831 centimetres. The interesting thing, though, for me is in second place at the moment, Squidward, the McKells. Now, to me, they're the real threat, because if you look at their scorecard, 791 centimetres, so they're 40 centimetres adrift. They've had ray to 60, bream to 98, again, 3 bream. But they've also had a bass to 43 centimetres. Which is the one I think that's going to test everybody.
It is, without a doubt.
Smooth is to 294, smooth hounds, and tope to...
So if they get another ray, a decent ray, that will push them into the lead.
Or a couple of bass.
Yeah.
Now, I do know that Darren McKellen, Luke and Caroline were talking about potentially going bass fishing this afternoon.
Yeah, for the last hour or so.
Darren has been practising in this water, so knows where the bass are, and I think John Challen has just shouted over to say, where do I go to catch a bass? So obviously that's the big question, isn't it? I've been trying for months. I haven't got one.
Yeah, I think this the way the competition's panning out today, I think the bass is going to be the key.
A couple of other things to point out here. So, not only have we got a situation where the Challengers were right up there on the leaderboard last year, and everyone, like you said, anyone can do well.
Yeah.
But they're doing it again, Dave.
Now, that's consistency for you.
It's phenomenal to do that. We've had also approaching 300 fish caught.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
I know we kind of thought that a lot of fish would be caught today.
Well, I think you say 300 fish caught. I bet there's been loads more fish caught, but 300 actually on the scorecards. Yeah. That's really good.
So, we are approaching the afternoon session now, and things, do you think, will carry on at this pace or slow down?
They're going to slow down now. The tide's backing away. Another couple of hours and we're going to hit slack water again at the end of the competition. So the sport will definitely slow down now. But it's like you say, it's a key period. These last couple of hours is going to be make or break, I think.
Again, let's just run through the rest of the leaderboard just to kind of do our admin properly, Mr. Barham. So, in third place at the moment on 778 is Sea Angler, with Dave Mitchell in charge of them.
Excellent.
Fourth place, Pebbles. That's 722 centimetres. That's Steve Stefano's boat. And then on further back in fifth position, we've got Go For It with Steve Manning. It's Steve, a fair angler, isn't he? Knows this water very well. They're on 677. I suppose the thing is, if you've had a great morning, what you can afford to do is have a little bit of a gamble. Maybe go inshore for a bass or, something like that.
A lot of the teams at the top, they've had their tope, they've had their smooth hounds, they've had their bream. There's been 1 or 2 rays caught by those teams. Like I said, 1 bass, but it is all about the bass now. I'm pretty certain, you're losing the tide. They could still pick up a ray, but I think bass is going to be the key.
Well, Dave, we're into a position now coming into the sort of the closing period of the first day, and I think it's been a really interesting day out here on the water. I'll tell you what's been fantastic for me is having you alongside me to give your sort of insight into what's been going on, and I think I've learned an awful lot about what's going on out here in the Solent. But before we carry on, I just want to sort of have a little, I suppose, look back or look forward about what's been going on. So as we come to a close on the first day, it looks like certainly TEQUILA are right up there, which is just the most brilliant thing. We've talked about this a lot today, but the guys on TEQUILA, John Challoner, his two sons, Toby and Joe, and Ben Bream, have just done a fantastic job yet again, proving last year's success wasn't, you know, a one-off. But there are others making a charge. We know, for example, Bad Boys, they had a bit of a dodgy start this morning. They were catching some fish, but Luke Fitzgerald, Martin Fisher, Nicky Wallace and Martin Fitzgerald have actually pushed quite hard this afternoon, and they seem to have found a few fish, which is great news for them. They will certainly be in touch up at the top of the leaderboard somewhere. The other boats that are doing really well, the Extreme boat, boat number 40, the Game King 745, with brothers Rob and Steve Perry on board, Rob Johnson and Tom Stammers. They're also doing really well, and they've had a very strong finish. Isn't it interesting, actually? Bad Boys finished well this afternoon. They found some taupe, and it looks like the guys on Game King 745 have also found some taupe. So I think boat 40 will certainly be in contention as we come towards the end of the first day. The other boat we have to keep a very close eye on, boat number 32, the Sea Raider. That's got Jason Williams, Liam Smith on board. They're anglers from the Isle of Wight. So, you know, the grounds that we're fishing in is kind of in their back garden, if you like. You know, they fish the Solent all the time. So there'll be anglers who are really ones we have to keep a close eye on going into the second day. They've made steady progress throughout the whole thing. They caught a few fish early on. And again, just to reiterate, this is water they know really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they progress going into day two. Well, Dave, we're heading back into Gun Wharf.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
It's been a great day, mate. I'm a little bit crispy around the edges.
I don't think you're the only one.
No, it's been a fantastic day, weather-wise and fish-wise, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out a little bit more about precise scores on the doors when we get in, because obviously fish are being registered all the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear. Taupe, smooth hounds have been reasonably easy to come by.
Yeah.
The flatfish, maybe not so much. The bass have been difficult.
Yeah.
But most people seem to be catching bream, and it's a really interesting tactic, I suppose, when you go for whatever you go for, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like, there's been quite a few rays caught. I would have expected there to be a few more. I think there's been like 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
But the bass, like I said, if you can catch the bass, you're in with a shout. I think there's been six bass caught in the whole comp today.
Extraordinary, isn't it? Well, look, let's get back in, wait for the boats to arrive, and we'll see what the scores on the doors actually are. So as the boats returned to Gun Wharf to find out the scores, there was plenty of chatter. There were also plenty of stories to be told. The fish caught and lost, plans which worked and plans which didn't. But there was also the story of how Dave Wilson, skipper of the Extreme 745 Game King, had come to the rescue of the Challoner family as the competition entered a crucial phase.
So we decided we're going to go and have a quick half hour on the tote, bringing the anchor in, and it was just solid, absolutely solid, windlass jammed. You know, there was no going. So I tried to do with my knowledge. We did put an ordinary buoy on, that didn't work. And I was ready to cut it, to be honest, because it was solid. And then, of course, your mind's thinking, we haven't got an anchor. I've got a spare anchor, but there's a lot of tide out there. You need a decent anchor.
John on TEQUILA, I said, John, you got a problem? Yeah, I'm going to have to cut my anchor. The anchor's stuck. I don't cut it. So I talked him through what to do, bring the rope to the stern. I haven't been on the water all my life in the lifeboat cruise. I've seen it all before. And I talked it through how to get his anchor out on Channel 6. And then behold, he guts it all out and handballs it in, and he doesn't lose his anchor, which doesn't ruin his day tomorrow.
As a dad with your 2 kids on board, that must have also been a little bit on your mind.
We were very nervy. There wasn't a lot of tide. You know, we've been in some places where there's a lot of tide all day today. We actually when we were doing it, we actually chucked him in the front cabin to get down there out the way. But no, very nervy. You know, and it just shows it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. Again, the brotherhood of angling, it's all right in the end.
It was, Dave, and hats off to him. He didn't need to stop fishing and come and help us, and he did. So very thankful for it. And man, his knowledge is obviously great, and it works.
That rescue cost Dave Wilson and his crew an hour's fishing at the end of the first day. Who knows where they would have been had the emergency not happened. But when you've spent as much time on the water helping people like Dave has, the competition comes second. So let's have a look at the scoreboard at the end of the first day. It made for very interesting reading. In first position, the 745 Game King, with brothers Steve and Rob Perry, Rob Johnson and Tom Stammers aboard. They were helped by a huge tope caught by Rob Perry, which measured 152 centimetres. In second, from the Isle of Wight, Jason Williams and Liam Smith on board boat 32, Sea Raider. Third, the Bad Boys from Portsmouth. They survived a poor morning on the water to stage a great fight back in the afternoon. Luke Fitzgerald and his crew knew they were still in the running. In fourth, Dave Wilson's Extreme 745. Fresh from their rescue, Dave, Stuart Jones, Wayne Hand and Scott Rennie were also closing in. And back in fifth, Tequila. Last year's runners-up had produced on the water yet again. John Challoner, his 2 young sons Joe and Toby, and the appropriately named Ben Bream, knew a good performance on day 2 would have them right back in the mix. You guys have had a decent day. Talk me through it.
It's been a pretty good day, to be fair. We stuck to our game plan we come up with, and it's definitely paid off at the moment. All we can do is hope we can do the same again tomorrow. Stick to the game plan again, and hopefully it comes good.
Now, at this stage, are you willing to give any of that game plan away? I promise I won't tell anyone.
No, absolutely not. I'm afraid. No, can't be giving that away because it worked a treat today. So,
what's it like for you guys to be top of the pile after day 1?
It's where we wanted to be. Whether we thought we were going to get there is another thing, but we were hoping top 5, get in a position to give you a chance for the second day. Because it's not 1 on the first day, it's 1 on the second day.
Let's talk a little bit about boats, because this one isn't yours. I know you've borrowed it. What would that mean to you guys to win it and to win the title?
Oh, I don't know. I can put into words, to be fair, what it would mean. It would be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, But we've got a whole day to go yet, so hopefully. What a piece of kit as well. I've never been on a boat like it. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. It's brilliant. I want one.
Well, you might get one.
Oh, I hope so.
Also, the trophy's pretty special. Well, Dave, I'm getting the sense that day has been just incredible. Speaking to the guys around us at the end of the first day, what a day's fishing caught.
I know. There's been some phenomenal fish caught, hasn't there? Some really big tapes, some big rays. There's been some big rays lost as well, that I've heard about today. But what a great first day to the comp.
I'm interested in the sort of the approach that the guys will take tomorrow, because we're at the halfway stage.
Yeah.
We've reached that point in the competition where I'm sensing a lot of them say that you can't win it on the first day. You can certainly lose it on the first day of the competition.
Yeah, totally.
How many of the sort of top 10 do we think are still in contention, realistically?
I think you're looking at the top 5, top 6, definitely really in with a chance. And I think tactics-wise tomorrow, from the guys that I've been talking to, they're just going to do exactly the same thing. Exactly the same as they did today. Slightly bigger tide tomorrow. They're building all week, so you're going to have a little bit more tide for a little bit longer. I know some of the guys were saying there was a lot of slack tide out there today, which is never a good time for fishing generally. So yeah, it's going to be the same as today. Fish straight from the off. As soon as they get out there, drop a line down, but they're going to be going for the tope, they're going to be going for the smooth down straight away. Same game plan. As the tide backs away, they'll have a go for some bream, try for a ray.
Well, listen, that's the end of the first day of the Sea Angling Classic. We've got lots more to come for you next time. Here's what's coming up in next week's show. That's a nice fish.